Hi, I'm Nikki. I'm bringing you a video on subqueries for We Can Code It. So let's go ahead and get started with a smaller example, just to kind of jump into things. I'm going to be working from question 1 on page 415 in our books. So if you want to go and get your book and follow along, if not, just watch the video and you can always look at it later. So the first question is asking for entertainers and number of engagements. So entertainers, probably going to be looking for their stage names. And then we're going to be looking for the number of engagements, which means that we're probably going to have to use our count function. So let's jump right into it. So we're going to need our select int stage name. And forgive my spelling. I'm going to put in a comma because we're going to need that comma when we put in our subquery. I always forget that. And we're going to be bringing this from the entertainers table. So now that we have that, it's only giving us a little squiggly because I have a comma, but I don't have anything after it right now. But we're going to fix that. So let's open our parentheses. And I just like to close it so I don't forget. We're going to start with another select. And what are we going to select? We're going to do our count function, which begs another set of parentheses. We're going to put in engagement number. So that's what we're counting. And we're going to call it something. Let's return this engagement number as engage count. And this is going to be coming from the engagements table. But we're trying to figure out the entertainers and how many engagements they had respectively. So we're going to have to do some joining, or linking rather. So where the entertainers, entertainer ID, equals the engagements table on that same entertainer ID. And we're going to call that number of engagements. So I think we have everything for this first table. So we have the stage name, which is going to give us a column. And we're going to have the count of how many engagements they had. And to get the entertainers count respectively, we're going to link their entertainer ID on the entertainers table to the entertainer ID on the engagements table. And we're going to go ahead and run this and see what happens. So it looks like it went through correctly, but what I like to do to check my work is I will go to select all, chapter 11, and it'll usually, select all from chapter 11, and we're going to say entertainer engagement count, enter. Now I'm going to run these two together and see if they match. So the top one, the top query, will be what I did, and then the bottom query will be what it should look like. So it looks like the columns pretty well match up to each other in terms of the names and also the engagement count. So I'd say this one was pretty successful. So that was the count function. So let's move on to another one. This one was slightly more complex. It threw me off a little bit. When I first looked at it, I thought it was going to be very easy, but it turned out to be a lot more complex than what I was expecting. So we're going to be looking for, in this question number 2, also on page 415, we're going to be looking for customers who have booked entertainers who play country or country rock. So I'm going to start off with our select statement. So we're selecting customers dot customer ID and customer I said, forgive my spelling. Customers dot first name. Let's go ahead and get the last name. And we're going to get this from the customers table, of course. And let me go ahead and switch my database over just so it stops giving me strange errors. All right, looks like it was right the first time. Sorry about that. So we're going to be looking for these customer IDs in. So we're using in. I'm going to go ahead and start another select statement. So we're going to select. So we know there's a lot of linking that we're going to have to do to get the engagements linked to the entertainer styles, linked to the musical preferences, linked to the musical style. So just know there's going to be a lot of inner joins coming up. So don't get overwhelmed. Just follow along. So let's look for engagements dot customer ID because we need to know who these customers have booked. So let's look for that. So it's giving me a little bit of an error, but it's only because I don't have a from statement yet. So from, and I'm going to go ahead and open and close another set of parentheses. Engagements. And I'm going to inner join customers on engagements. Customer ID, of course, is going to equal customers. Customer ID. All right, so this first join just connects the customers with the engagement that they have booked. We've done this a couple of times for other things, but just so that first one, that's all we're doing. We're just connecting those two things. So next, we're going to have another inner join. So I'm going to go back up here, put another open parentheses here, and another close down here. And I'm actually going to come down to another line. So I am going to inner join entertainer styles. So this will tell us, this is going to be a lot more transparent as I go on. Sorry about that. On entertainer styles, that entertainer ID. And we're going to see where that entertainer ID matches on the engagement table. So also going to be entertainer ID. All right. So we're looking good so far. Sorry, used the wrong ending bracket there. So lastly, but certainly not least, because this is going to tell us about our musical preferences, we're going to connect our musical preferences on inner join on musical preferences dot style ID this time. And we're going to connect that with the entertainer style ID. And we need to figure out where these musical preferences, style IDs, and because it's an ID, it must be an integer. I'm sure we all know that. So that the country music ID is 6, or where the musical preferences dot style ID equals 11. Got my equal sign. All right. So let's go ahead and run this. So you see we have 13 names with all of their customer IDs. So let's go ahead and check our work because nobody is perfect from chapter 11. Customers we like country. So let's run them simultaneously. My query will be at the top. Let's make sure what we have. See, both have 13 and they're the same people in the very same order. So it seems like we have a pretty good match. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. I know I tend to talk a bit fast, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you and speak to you soon.